Fuck. I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm gonna do a quick video to help myself kind of make a commitment video. I'm spraying again for bed bugs. Once I think they're gone, I just put them back in. This one's on step 6. This is like a rough video. I didn't plan this, but this is more of like me making a video just to kind of commit to myself making a video later about step 6 homework. Don't mind me, I lost my glasses. So I bought a new pair of sunglasses because I love these sunglasses so much. They're blue light blockers. And I lost my clear glasses that I paid like 23 bucks for. I don't know if I should do an inventory first. I feel like I'm gonna do an inventory and then I'm gonna talk about step 6. I don't know why. I just feel like it's a good thing to do for myself. Hold on a second. Get my book. Oh. Okay. Where are we? Alcoholic homework. Caution, tales for alcoholics. Addicts everywhere. Page 86, Alcoholics Anonymous, we're trying to constructively review our day where we resentful. Why is everybody so fucking stupid? Why can't they be more intelligent like me? I've been finding a lot of that, like just having kind of Karen moments and, you know, going through a lot of having to struggle with getting back into shape, getting in, you know, understanding, you know, that I'm a certain age, that the neighborhood has been traumatized by all this like gangs talking crazy shit. But I also owe it to myself into the future to stay out of lockup, right? Or going into lockdown. So I have to manage character defects. I have to manage my pain, and I have to manage my addiction, my alcoholism. And I'm struggling, I have to say, you know, so it's important when I struggle to even be more, what's the word, just clear, right? More transparent about things. I stopped taking my naproxen daily because it was making my skin burn. And I've been on a few scripts that will make my skin so sensitive that the melatonin's like leached out of my skin. And the next thing you know, I'm burning like you wouldn't believe. And I know that's kind of crazy to do that, but what I did was I went and I bought tons of balanced THC and CBD gel caps. And on one hand, you know, it's not something that's a huge seller when you go to these marijuana stores, right? They're not the biggest thing on the market because they don't get you high fast. Do they? A little bit. But would I rather take that than an oxy? Yeah. So I went up to 30. I took out the naproxen and I started taking 30 milligrams, and I'm a little like you know, on one hand, but on another hand I feel a lot saner, and I feel like I'm coping with pain and stress. I'm managing a lot better, but still it is a mind altering substance, right? I don't, you know, I'm not going to pee clean compared to what script I have for that, but compared to a script for opioids, you know, a lot of people are like, you don't get high on opioids. I tend to disagree. I think I'm safer driving a fucking vehicle or, you know, a bicycle with this stuff in my system than I would be like, you know, banging oxys or like, you know, snorting or whatever. But, you know, has it kind of crossed my mind, or has it, you know, been a temptation? Yeah, absolutely, because I'm an addict. But is it important to kind of stay on the work even if I can't find anyone to do work with me? I think so. I know some people be like, well, you just shouldn't even bother at this point, right? You know, when I feel kind of set up in that, I was kind of like, yeah and no, you know, like I have to manage my pain because I have a responsibility to society to not be a crazy fucking mess. On the flip side, I have a responsibility to society to do my fucking work, right? They say hurt people should do their work. You know, I saw that on Patrick's channel today, and it was good. I needed that in my feed. Hurt people should do their work. So that's what I'm trying to do, is I'm trying to do my work. So listening to Joe and Charlie bit by bit while I'm doing, you know, at-home workouts, and they're a bit more intense, like calisthenics. You know, I'm really watching what I eat. I'm really trying to, I'm not counting steps, but I'm trying to get more cardio in. I'm trying to get more active. And then, of course, stay on top of the bed bug situation, keep things contained, cleaned. and then think about some other projects that I want to do, including, you know, going back to work. You know, I hear they're hiring white people at Tim Hortons up the street. I happen to be maybe 50 to 60% white. I might have an option right there to get employed. I might not. I might miss it this time. Garden centers, up the street, that kind of stuff, right? Suddenly I'm getting auditions to my phone. Okay, it's a little late for me, like, I'm not, you know, 51-year-old ingenue, right? More like 51-year-old ingenue playing someone's mom or aunt, right? Which is cool. At this point, work is work. And I'm kind of, my mindset is like, well, if I'm going to do it, then I should really put more effort into it and really maximize my time, like work smarter, not harder, and really focus on things like what I'm auditioning for. And study it, you know, study it like I would study working for a job. Like, you know, if I go back to Tim Hortons, I really need a layout of the cash, you know, and all the items on the cash. So it's the same thing with any other audition. I've got to study what I'm auditioning for. But again, like, I can't really take it too seriously. And I think it's kind of good too, because like I was so messed up when I was younger, when I was dancing. Even like modeling or doing anything, like when I got offers, I was just too freaked out by people. I was just too freaked out by the whole, and they didn't necessarily have to be freaky people. Some of them were, but not all of them were. But I just didn't have this, I didn't have the core self. I didn't have the sense of identity. And I think it just would have been very difficult for me. And, you know, like if I'd been presented with the situation with a Diddy party, that would not have been so hard to walk out of. But what if I shot my mouth off about it? Yeah, you better believe it. Like, I totally would have fucking ratted that shit out. I'd be like laughing with my friend, you fucking believe what so-and-so did with so-and-so? Like, I'd be dead. I'd be dead. I'd have that methylene blue, like fucking, I'd come home to like fucking pneumonia surprise, right? So, I wouldn't have lasted, you know, and this is all merging with, you know, being in the month of June and starting step 6. I haven't posted step 6 homework in the description box below to all the videos I do, to all the daily readings that I do with the daily reflections, right? And the just for today. My just for today is literally falling apart. I have no cover anymore. They say if the literature isn't falling apart, the attic might be. So I believe both is falling apart. But it's slow and steady that wins the race. Anywho, speaking of step 6, so I started listening to Joe and Charlie again. I was following along in the workbook. Somewhere around, this workbook is so crazy. Like, I wish there were speaker tapes to do the NA workbook, because the questions in the NA workbook are so much easier to follow along with, but the questions in this just jump around so much. And I find it's kind of like an Alcoholics Anonymous like trick, you know, where you have, they're seeing if you're paying attention when they jump around from like steps 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9, right? But that's the first mention I see about it, I think would be in this literature, would be talking about page 75 in the big book, paragraph 1, and in this book it would be page 145. But it was written by the Blues Brothers, Joe and Charlie, so, you know, they say they don't include the wacky weed. I haven't gone there yet, so I haven't gone to actually smoking a joint. What I'm taking is still not as much as what you would get in a week joint, and I space it out throughout the day. So it's still not as much THC, but it is more, and I do feel it. So I kind of feel like I'll get anxious where I feel like I have to do homework, I have to lock into some form of recovery. And in some ways, I'm more emotionally sober when I do it. So I'm documenting this, but I'm not necessarily going to post this public, because what works for me could get someone else killed. And just because I chose an alternative method to deal with my pain doesn't mean everybody should do it. You know, some people are fine taking those oxys. Some people are fine taking perks. I am not one of those people. I am not one of those people. I have an obsession in the mind and the body. And it's just like with the booze, one is too many, 1,000 is never enough. I never even enjoy it. I'm actually completely fucking miserable when I pick up, and I know this for a fact. You know, so when they talk about in step 1, you know, once I pick up, my life is unmanageable. I'm an alcoholic, and my life is unmanageable. Once I start, I can't stop. You know, it just keeps going from there. This is more of a slower progression with the oil. This has been over like a couple of years, the progression with the oil. I still haven't hit a joint level, like a weak joint level of THC yet, which is good. But with the other stuff, when we talk about abusing a substance and never really being, happy, right? I saw someone the other day talking about she can't get drunk anymore. She's just drinking to stave off tremors. And that's how I was by the end of my drinking. And I feel like it's really, really important to keep that close, that Parkinsonian tremor, how my body was being poisoned by the alcohol and how I was craving something that was poisoning me. Like I was definitely being poisoned by my own drinking. And the first time I took opiates, I snorted it. It was weak, but I snorted it, right? It was just like those small yellow caps of morphine. But for me, it's that very generic thing, right? So one thing was getting into people pleasing. And another thing in my step work, I was looking at, I'm going to actually, do some readings and just go through my step 6 in the big book and in the 12 and 12. But as I did an opening here, and I didn't do a thorough 4 or 5 at all, but I feel like it's still better to just look at literature. Even that is better. Even if I can't go to a meeting online because I'm scared absolutely shitless. I don't even want to be online. I don't even want to be online to like audition for a job tomorrow. I'm so scared because of what has been going on and what has been happening. And that is a character defect in me where I get so scared shitless, I will go for the easy option. I will become emotionally lazy. Instead of looking for work, I'll go into the fetal ball, go into the fetal position, I'll acquiesce to defeat, I'll go into the old playgrounds, play things. And just because people in AA might be sexist, racist, pedophile, whatever, or have an ability to hack my phone, doesn't mean that I should acquiesce to defeat. There's always some way that I should be pushing forward and pushing past and pushing through so that I'm not defaulting to my old ways, right? The old ways that got me in trouble. So part of something I opened here, and it really hit me hard because I have always struggled with this, is boundaries. Right? And people pleasing. That was a character defect that just jumped out at me right away. And I would go from people pleasing and boundaryless to snapping shut, right? And I still do that to this day. I still struggle with that till this day. Excuse me. I got that Witness hair. Who's that? She played the Mennonite in Witness. Rebecca something. Yeah, I wish. Anyways, she, me, not her, me. We talk about these social chameleons, these people pleasers that you can't really trust. And I would get kind of in that spineless territory of being that social butterfly to that social pariah to, assassinate. What was it they said? Death by character assassination. Death by mouth. Right? And that's something I've definitely engaged in that I don't want to partake in again. People piss me off, Yeah, do people purposely try to get a reaction? Yeah, absolutely. Is it up to me at the end of the day to not partake? Yeah. I definitely sometimes what I'll do is I will shut down or I will cut people off. And then it's not necessarily about them. It's just because I'm getting triggered. And if I'm getting triggered and I'm getting into a space that's dangerous again, like what happened a couple of years ago online, and those guys definitely provoked it. They'll say everything under the sun. No, they definitely did. But I got attacked. Right. And that was sickening for me to have to go through another kind of sexual humiliation ritual again online after a girl has been murdered or even forced to kill herself while my nephew is being sexually groomed and sexually abused, while I'm being told I'm not allowed to date, but I'm being sexually humiliated, and going again through that kind of forced sterilization, medically induced TBI. Like that's such a this is a lawsuit, and yeah, it's something I can't touch. I'm too afraid to stand up for my own self, because who the fuck is going to listen to me anyways? No one gives a fuck, because no one ever has. I can't turn to the bottle for it. Again, like I'm like the rest of the world. I've got justified resentments. We all got this cross we're carrying around. If we really want to be martyrs, we all have really, really good reasons. All of us has got some horrible fucking sob story out there, and I'm one of those people too, but it's actually not an excuse. It explains why I drank in the past. It explains why I medicated for pain in the past the way I did. to like stupid, like really dumb, right? People with head injuries should never snort morphine, ever. That's such a bad idea, and yet I did it. I couldn't wait to do it. Right? Like, never mind losing my virginity, which I still have no idea when I officially did, right? And I've forgiven up, like I've fucking given that shit up, right? You know, I'm not gonna take slut shaming or abuse over it, but I'm jovial about it now. I'm just like, fucking forget this shit, right? But when it comes to that, I couldn't wait to do that. You know, I couldn't wait to engage in all that. So, you know, I wanna have fun. I wanna connect. I wanna be helpful, and I wanna be a part of society. And I want that social acceptability, and I want that relief from the bondage of self, right? But I can't do it at the expense of my living amends. Freedom is not free. Jails, institutions, and death are still definitely on the horizon. This is but a yet, right? And this could still take me out. It hasn't taken me out yet doing this oil, and I feel like going up has actually been good. Like, I've been very careful. I've been going up gradually. I've been talking with people about it. I've been researching, but I'm still, you know, like, okay, like, you know, I could still end up in a treatment center. That can still happen, right? And knowing that option is available too, or that if I need to ask for help, I'm going to, right? Keeping that in mind, even though I haven't picked up a drink or an opioid, maybe, you know, this isn't going to work out, right? Although I feel it's been very helpful for my pain, and it's very, very helpful for psychosis and depression. And I do go through anxiety. I do have ups and downs for sure, but it has helped me a lot more than other meds. And I figure if everyone else is going to guinea pig on me and I'm going to have shitty fucking results, I might as well just try a little bit and see. But, you know, again, there's that fine line between taking care of myself, using alternative methods, taking my will back and experimenting a little bit, versus doing that scientific research, you know, that alcoholics and addicts do. That's a slippery slope. It's a fine line, and I have to be very careful with that. So as I go through the month and focus on step 6, and I will be posting the homework soon, my screen's all messed up because I kept dropping my phone last month. So it's kind of hard for me to edit on the screen. I have to actually go on the library computer and do it. But as I go through this month and do this work, I think that's what I'm going to be focusing most on, is like, how far have I come with these character defects that were in my first 4 or 5 that I still see crop up today. And, you know, back in the day, I would just smoke joints, go back to work, and I wouldn't think about things like character defects and that I have them. Right? You know, a lot of us think if we're people pleasers, we don't have character defects. Bullshit. You know, it just means we're more passive aggressive than the next person. And that's not necessarily good, right? That's more of a survival mechanism. Someone was talking about Machiavellian personalities and how you have like a 1 in 50,000 chance of surviving them. I was like, I grew up with that. But if that's your natural train, if that's you walk both ways uphill to school every day or something, you know, not necessarily. You know, if your natural environment is around a certain type of personality, then you just adjust to that. Some people need an exorcism. They have multiple personality disorder, and I'm definitely seeing my multiple personalities crop up. And that's more normal in the program than we realize. It's not normal for society, but it's normal in the program. It's definitely something I've seen a lot of, and it's definitely something I've seen in myself too. And I often sometimes will wonder, who the fuck was I hanging out with as a kid that I picked up this accent or this way of speaking or this way of being? And again, like, some people would get a full-on exorcism. They're like, I don't want any of these people around, right? And then some people just make peace with their demons. For me, it's like having some of those demons around is a survival mechanism. And, you know, when I think of going back to step 3 and turning it over, and ego, you know, edging God out, being forged in the fire of trauma, these personalities, or whatever you want to call them, these demons that I've had to make peace with, have been very helpful in my life. They have protected me. You know, and I don't want to get into like a kind of like demons are bad, demons are good, because I honestly, like, I wanted to be Buddhist or like atheist, because I can't stand the whole God versus Satan, heaven and hell. Like, we all have an idea what right and wrong is. But yeah, I have to be reminded, just like everyone else, right? So yeah, my shit stinks just like everyone else. Okay. What else do I have to say about step 6? Not a fuck of a lot. Did I finish my inventory? I don't know if I did. I don't think I did. My pages are literally, check this shit out. Look at my book. I fucked it up. So my other book too, with my inventory page. Page 86 is all fucked up. All right. Constructively reviewed, resentful, afraid, dishonest. So for me, I feel like I have a lot of information that's not necessarily my business coming my way, and I find that if it's not my business, then it's not for me to fucking say. In one ear out the other. I try to make a mental note if I think I need to hang on to that. That's really that fucking important. But as far as like using it to assassinate someone's character in the future, you know, that's a no, right? Unless I actually need to hang on to that as a baseline for, I've seen, people are going to let us down. People are fallible. I'm fallible, right? We're all fallible. We're all going to fuck up. We're all going to let each other down. But there's different levels of fuckery that all of us can deal with, right? And right now, I'm looking at where I am vulnerable, where I need to make myself strong, and then, of course, where I need to preemptively troubleshoot in the future with potential problems with people. And it doesn't mean to cut them off. It means meet them where they're at. And that's kind of different for me. I haven't done that in a long time, right? If ever. Right. And sometimes people would say, well, that's a real chump way to do things, right? Like not taking sides in a relationship, not siding with him or not siding with her. You know, I just recently kind of ran into something like that kind of situation. And for me, it was, you know, you can take two perfectly wonderful people, put them together in a relationship, and they can be really good together. But there's relationships have a way of, we show our best selves. My first sponsor said this, that we show our best selves instead of showing our worst fucking selves. Like, you want to know what you're fucking dealing with. So when shit does hit the fan and you don't know who this person is and all these character defects come out, which we all have because we're human, we make mistakes. It's a shock. And two otherwise perfectly wonderful people can turn into a fucking train wreck and a shit show, and it's shocking, right? This is why I haven't been in a relationship for so long, and I don't plan to. You know, other than date and babysit, that's really all I have energy for. I don't have energy beyond that anymore. And I think in a way that was kind of, I don't know if it was orchestrated by God or people playing God in my life, you know, again, another resentment, but trying to work these resentments out as I go, right? Using the shit out of the app, using the shit out of, whether I'm right or wrong, just type it out. If it gets between me and a drink and a drug, type it out. Fuck it, just type it out. You know, if it gets between me and a drink and a drug, listening to Joe and Charlie or any other kind of recovery related resources, just keep doing it. You know, if it gets between me and snorting fucking mystery fucking bag, death bag fucking surprise that, you know, people are dying from right now, which I definitely, you know, we all have that bag with our name on it if we want it. It's not hard to access at all. You know, I've definitely had people offer me free down. It's up to me at the end of the day what I want to do, right? And how much do I want to use my options, and how much can I hang on and hang in there when I'm in physical pain, not just mental, emotional, spiritual pain, but physical pain. You know, I have started praying again, but I'm not really sure I want to commit to being a Catholic, simply because it's not just about resentment. It's just that I just don't want to open the floodgates to some of the stuff that I've been through in the past, right? But it doesn't mean that I hate the Catholic Church or I plan to do anything bad towards the Catholic Church. I just feel like it's just better that I stay with the kind of God that we learned about, you know, working with higher power as described in our literature. That for me, that makes the most sense. It's the most helpful thing. And, you know, not isolating, right? Getting out there and listening to good orderly direction from other people. I might go back on Sober Faction. I'm pretty freaked out about being on Zoom right now. Just because I've had so many issues, right? And this wasn't resolved, this Amanda Todd stuff, not by a long shot. And because of that, and because of what's happening with my nephew, my back is very much up, and I have been very anxious. And I'm finding that I have to breathe through a lot of anxiety. I have to breathe through a lot of rage. I have to breathe through all these negative emotions and process them. And again, that's new for me, right? So, am I coming up to 14 years? 13 years. 2025. What are we? We're 2026. We're 2026. My last drink was in 2012. Sorry. I'm so old. I'm brain dead. The oil's kicking in. So what do we do? We're coming up to the 14 years. Wow. That's unbelievable. August 25th, 2012 was... that was... My last drink was maybe a day before that or 2 days before that, and I haven't picked up alcohol since. I did have a kombucha last week, and so it was like the universe conspired to actually get me a drink, because I was having a little moment of crisis over by a church, and I put on some Malachi Martin just to kind of listen to him. And I thought about going back on Sober Faction because there were some people I really missed. There was stuff I missed. So it is weird to kind of be in this situation where the meetings that kind of accept me the most are like, you know, the Sober Faction meetings, but I'll still get targeted. I'm still going to get targeted by these 764 type groups, right? That's not a thing. That is full on a fucking thing. And I'm fit to be tied to have cops, you know, take me seriously when, you know, a lot of them are participants in that, right? And that's a very real thing for me, you know. And again, is that something I want to go to war over with the cops? Absolutely not. There's too many good cops. There's too many good cops who just shut that shit down, you know. So I am very committed to kind of staying out of wars if I don't have to get into wars with people, you know, and even abroad, you know, like I'm not anti-Semitic. I accept that I'm part Jewish, but also we were never Jewish enough to really go to a synagogue. Like I've never been inside a synagogue. I've been in a mosque. I've been to mass. I've been to different types of Orthodox type mass. I mainly went to the Protestant church as a child, where there was a lot of fucking hippies. Just like, you know, like I've been to a lot of places. I was most accepted at the Native Center, even when things got vicious. I just felt most comfortable. So when people started impeding and imposing, you know, and when we did go to the Jewish Center, it was like we were tolerated, you know, and we were kind of scripted and schooled on how we were to be. So for me, I have a problem with the pro-Israel movement, especially the Zionist movement coming out of Hollywood. And I am trying to walk the line and take the path of least resistance. You know, there was a Dalai Lama talk that I heard, and it just kind of solidified, you know, I can't imagine he would know that, you know, life would be like this right now, 5 years ago, but for some reason that really, really helped. And being all those years I spent in and out of the Buddhist temple in Toronto helped as well. You know, so not getting involved, neutral like Sweden, but, you know, by virtue of the fact that I voted Liberal, by virtue of the fact that I live here, am I more leaning towards being pro-Palestine? Yeah, you know, and especially, you know, seeing that Zion just doesn't share. You know, when they take from you, they fuck you up. And they leave you and they'll keep coming, you know. But have I seen that there's like, you know, some similarities with Good Orderly Direction? Like, you know, Father Rossetti said that people of great faith cannot be corrupted. Have I seen that in the Hasidic Jewish community with people who are actually protesting the fucking war, protesting Israel, protesting their own? Yeah. You know, and then you see these TV people getting up on there talking about, you know, raping people with the bars. You know, and they've threatened me. They've threatened Alistair. So I'm not happy about being put through all this abuse online on behalf of Zion or Zionist Hollywood, right? Like I'm just done. Like, get the fuck off my land, get the fuck out of my house, don't come back, don't pass go, don't collect 200, you don't know me, I don't know you. You know, and I had this talk with Russell Brand years ago when I was approached about that stuff with the party. Like I said, I didn't know it was Joaquin. I didn't think it was Joaquin, and I thought it was someone else. Again, this is turning into dirty laundry, right? But, you know, if I'm getting shit kicked over dirty laundry that I've already said, like, we were kids, that shit was wrong, it was a child abuse ring, and good luck, like, live and let live, because I've learned to process this shit, and that's what we're supposed to do. Good luck, you go on, you have your fucking life, I'm gonna go have my fucking life. oh no, bitch, that ain't right, right? Like, and then you're gonna pay Gary Glitter first, then there's a fucking issue. And I can't keep doing the same thing over and expecting different results. And if I'm being told that suddenly Natalie Portman got in on it behind my back, like I didn't know that I was being thrown on the fucking internet and that I was being made fun of while I was getting kicked in the genocide and being kind of the scapegoat for all the damage, the damaging behavior, you know. I don't, when people go to school and they get a degree, I take that stuff very seriously. Okay. There was a couple I worked for. They had 5 kids. They were a Hasidic Jewish couple, and they worked with fur. They worked with leather. It was a hat company. And the first time I ever heard the word kike was in the steam room. And it was 2 Hasidic Jews calling each other kike. They used to use the word kike, nigger, spick, you name it. They fucking anything. Sand nigger, prairie nigger, like you fucking name it, right? But they would never hunt down people's children to extinction online. That was just it. So one of the moms who, I think she had like 5 kids, and she was traditional Hasidic Jew. She got her license, and she kind of encouraged me that I could even do some kind of accounting. Like I never really had anyone tell me that before. And she really made me feel good about myself. Like she really made me feel seen. And again, like I said, that, you know, they wouldn't talk perfectly, but they definitely didn't ever deserve to be used as human shields or to have shit taken out on them or anything like that. And I hate fucking fur. I'm gonna be really honest. I hate fur. I hate leather. I can't stand the fucking smell. I can't even stand the smell of dead skin on my fucking feet. And I see it as the same shit. Why would I fucking pay for that shit? I prefer rubber. I prefer latex. I prefer cotton. I'm just that type of girl. But was the behavior of these people in line with what our civil rights and amendments, you know, this is why people marched in the civil rights movement. Like this is why people did what they did and fought for the things they fought for. And I find that, you know, with this kind of Mossad-driven CIA and then watching the best of America's law enforcement head for the hill, like literally leave the fucking continent. Yeah, it's shooketh to my core. You know, if any of this is real, it's not like some AI generated WW3 simulation. So I try to kind of keep a perspective of both so I don't freak out, right? Like, yeah, that could be, and that could also be no, right? Like, it could just be some fucking AI shit, right? So, you know, for me, like going through that whole social butterfly thing, you know, I've been going through it again lately. You know, and some people are weirded out and then some people are really inviting me. You know, some people in the Indian community are just like, fuck no. And then some people in the Indian community here are like, yeah, no, you stay here. You're part of us. You know, like, but you do your thing. Like, we don't want to, well, you know. And then some are just nicely like, you know, which is cool. And it is something that I have to watch for is just like being used to code switch, right? Because some people will pretend Indian, right? I'm not blood quantum, but I'm not blood quantum anything. But I can kind of access that if I wanted to, right? Because some of us, there's not a lot of us, but yeah, some of us are kind of mixed up with just about everything. Just like the flag, the Four Winds flag, right? You got the red, the black, the white, yellow, da-da-da-da. A lot of people are like, there's a lot of people walking around on this planet like that. They're going to test positive for everything. Because there's just been a lot of people moving around. There's been a lot of wars. There's been a lot of militaries moving around, stationed here or there, you know, soldiers, the prostitutes, whatever. So I don't worry about it too much. But, you know, do I see how that kind of resentment of uninformed consent as a child, how that played out in my life and how the resentment of that is ongoing, right? Like I've never put that away because I can't put that to rest. It doesn't matter how much I try to forgive or pray for forgiveness. It will always be hardwired in me that I'm angry about it. I can't help it. It's like if I lost someone, right? Someone I cared about, you know, I still cry over my friend Justine today. I did a quick little thing where I started to look at Courtney like if she was my friend Justine and she had to fight like a motherfucker to stay alive and have her kid. And I try to see her through that lens without being judgmental or a fucking sob over it. Like, do no harm, take no shit, right? But also that's it. Like, do no harm, but take no shit, but be aware. So one thing that I was really bad at was just acquiescing to defeat, going with the flow, doing what you told me to do versus just being polite and having solid boundaries and hanging on to self and practicing awareness. Practicing situational awareness was not my strong suit. At one point, I did not want to practice situational awareness because I sought oblivion, and it wasn't just for selfish reasons. I figured if I sought oblivion, I looked like I was seeking oblivion. People would not be so threatened, right? So realizing that I don't have to be threatening, I don't have to seek oblivion. I don't have to be threatening. I can be aware. I can be polite. I can be attentive, but I don't have to be stupid about it, and I don't have to waste energy foolishly either. I don't know. We'll see how that works. Anyways, that's me shooting the shit about step 6. I don't know if I should have done that. I don't know if I even qualify, but at this point, I've gotten to a point where, like, even if I had to go up on THC or start smoking joints at night just to relieve pain and to calm down. And again, that's a yet, just for today, I'm taking my 30 milligrams. And I'm going to keep trying with that too. And hopefully I will see my doctor again soon. I missed my appointment with her. I thought it was at one point and then I missed the time, I guess. And sometimes I think things get fucked up on my phone on purpose. And then sometimes I think, I'm just a fuck up. But anyways, yeah, that's it. That's me. I talked about step 6. I don't know if I finished my inventory. Let's see. Where are we? Oh my God. What the fuck? It's like a hangnail. It's like an alcoholic fucking hangnail on my big book. All right, where are we? How we kept some of ourselves should discuss with another person at once. No. We're kind of living toward all. No. We've done better. I don't know. Bart. That's how I see Brandon Rogers. He keeps slipping into my DMs, B. What's going on? What's going on, bud? What do you want? I always think of, like, I'm Homer and he's like Bart. Like, Brandon! Bart! I don't know why he does that. He loves it. He won't admit it, but you'll see it. You'll see it in his skits. He's like, never mind. They'll never believe me. We could have done better. They never believe me. Now you believe me, don't you? I knew it. We're thinking of ourselves most of the time. No. We're thinking what we could do for others. Package stream life. Yes. I started following Soma. I hadn't checked her page. I love Soma Snake Oil. She's fucking amazing. She's goals, dude. That is like an up and coming. She should not audition. She should run for fucking prime minister, president. I love that chick. I fucking love her. It was the first thing I saw her talk about was the cops taking women's fucking blankets when they're sleeping in the street and how the rape rates went up. And she knows her shit. She's talking some good shit. I was so proud of her, right? Because I'm thinking, like, if I ended up down there, first place I'm gonna do is like camp like right next to the fucking water tower at the Sissel and see if I'm safe, right? Because I'm a fucking idiot like that. Bit of a psycho, like just have faith. No, maybe the roof though. But it's illegal to be on the roofs. It's actually illegal and they will pull you down. So they will pull you down onto the street, and then when you're sleeping on the street, they're going to take your blankets. And of course the rape rate is going to go up because hookers sleeping in the street are going to get raped. It's just an unfortunate, fact of life, so she's actually like advocating for women's blankets not to be taken away, which was so fucking cool. She actually reminded me of like a really cool version of Pat Capone. So it was weird because I was mourning Pat for so long, and then I see someone, I'm like, that is so cool. I'm kind of living toward all what could have done better. So, looking at that, like if I got deported tomorrow, do I want to go to New York? I'm kind of wary of New York right now. Just with everything, the way things have transpired, like even with what's happening with ICE and what's happening with people being deported, if I got deported tomorrow and I do happen to qualify for daddy's pension, military pension and citizenship, which again, I have to get a DNA test, do I want to be in New York? Where Zion was moving in on my dad before my dad was dead, unalived, and all that shit was happening to me, yeah, arrow technology is based off of a real life fucking arrow. And I have a lot of respect for people who go to school and they earn degrees around that stuff. But there's some stuff that just isn't meant to be used. Like, just because you can make it, it's like Jeff Goldblum says, you know, now you're selling it. You didn't stop to think if you could, because you're so busy wondering if you should. If you could, you don't stop to think if you should. Just because you can make the weapon doesn't mean the weapons should be used. And the planet is heating up. There's displaced people everywhere. Russia, Ukraine, fucking Israel, Palestine don't want to share a port. They're making everyone else in the world fucking pay for their problems. You know, again, people don't want to share, so they're causing shit. And yeah, you know, I don't want to, it's not that I don't care. I fucking care. But I mean, it was 10, 20 years ago, people were having this conversation at the dinner table after my grandfather was unalived in the hospital about, was Hitler right? Right? Because both my grandfathers had been unalived, who both served in World War II, who didn't serve for Hitler. They fought against Hitler. So, but were, you know, under attack, right? And it's becoming a really obvious thing, you know, and then the stuff with the missing and murdered, the joking about the head injury accidents, the induced miscarriages, accidents, right? Like, that's like supposedly a funny. I don't know Hasidic Jews who are into shit like that. Rabbi Shmuley is the first person I've ever seen who's ever into that. If that's real, that's not AI. But I know that there's also that, right? Like, I've been around long enough. I've been on this planet long enough. I'm old enough. I've been around enough people, and working in nightclubs, people show their true selves after a while. So I've seen behaviors that are unconscionable come out of every walk of life and every race. So it's really not about being anti-Semitic, because anyone is capable of reptilian brain behavior, as am I. And I have these character defects that act out from a place of survival, of reptilian brain, of what I think I know and what I think is right versus what is right or wrong, right? I still struggle with right and wrong. I'm going to struggle for the rest of my life. But it's the fact that I'm actually attempting to do something about it and work a solution. So again, you know, being part of the solution and working the solution and applying it to my personal life, my personal issues everywhere I go, versus contributing to the problem or being part of the problem, recognizing that in myself, recognizing that in my behavior, my actions, my words, and just trying to do the next right thing and correct it as I go. It's progress, not perfection. And with that, I'll say thank you. Michelle, another 24. I don't think I finished my inventory, but I'll just do it.